Hello everyone, welcome to this video. And today we're going to be flying the FlyByWire A320 in Japan. We are going from Osaka International Airport to Fukuoka Airport. I hope I pronounced that right, but it's Fukuoka. Yeah, so we're going from Osaka to Fukuoka, and we're going to be flying the FlyByWire A320 with Japan Airlines livery. Now this is not a real airline's livery, but this is something like a vision or whatever you call that. But yeah, let's get started. So I will be doing this flight in a tutorialistic way where I'll go through all the steps that you need in order to fly this plane in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to import our flight plan using our flypad from SimBrief. So this will give us our weather data and any other data that is required in order to set up our flight plan. The next thing that we're going to do is we'll quickly have a look at the OFP to make sure that we have the correct block fuel amount that we need. And also we're gonna start getting our jetway. If I don't think it's gonna be possible in this one, but we'll put for baggage and catering. So this looks good. I'll just open the front door, and the next step is to get external power, and we'll also turn on our batteries and our navigation system 1, 2 and 3. The next step is to turn on the oxygen supply for crew, and then we are going to turn on the nav lights. Also seatbelt sign and no smoking goes on, and emergency light is armed. So far we are good with this panel. And the next step is to get our fueling done. So we'll quickly go back to our OFP, check our block fuel, which is 13,043 pounds. So we'll input that number here, and we are good with the fueling as well. Before we go further, I will just turn on the display lights for our MFD, PFD, as well as our ECAM systems. We don't need the copilot, but we will just turn it on for us in order to have a backup screen. So there we go, this is done. And now the next step is going to be to set up our flight computer. So first thing first, we will start getting our passengers in, and for that we'll go to weight and balances, request, and start boarding. So we're going to be flying 145 passengers today, and this should be good. The next step is to go to initialization and get our flight following. Now there is going to be a change. I'm not going to be flying on flight level 380. Instead we are going to be flying on flight level 280. It's a short flight and I don't think it's necessary to fly that high. So flight level 280. And this looks good. And before we input our flight plan, we are going to connect our ATC, and for ATC purposes I am going to be using pilot to ATC. So let's get that connected.
Osaka International Information Bravo 220 Zulu. Winds are light and variable. Visibility 6 miles. 3,000 few clouds.
I will just make sure that all that information is correct.
Current altimeter is 2994.
Okay, so our altimeter is 2994.
Right, 32 left.
Put that here.
Osaka International Information Bravo 220 Zulu. Winds are light and variable. Visibility 6 miles. 3,000 few clouds. Temperature 8, dew point 4.
Now that we have our ATIS record, we are going to ask for clearance for our flight. So let's get started. Zulu Alpha 907 ready to copy IFR.
Zulu Alpha 907, we don't have a flight plan on file for you.
Seems like I did not file the flight plan, so we'll do that, and we're gonna request for flight following one more time. Zulu Alpha 907 ready to copy IFR.
Zulu Alpha 907 is cleared to Romeo Juliet Foxtrot Foxtrot, climb via the Tiger 2 departure, with the Tiger transition, then as filed. Expect departure runway 32 left. Climb to 12,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 7 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.5. Squawk 4516. Zulu Alpha 9er7 read back correct. Altimeter 29er4 contact ground on 121.7 when ready to taxi. Enjoy your morning.
Altimeter 2994 ground on 121.7 Zulu Alpha 9er7.
Okay, once we have all that information, I have put in my squawk code, I have my initial cleared altitude set, and we are told to fly our departure using the SID that we are flying today. So in my iPad, I'm just going to open all the charts. Also, before we open the charts, let me just quickly set the flight plan on the flight computer. A very important step.
Flight deck. On behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to see final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Okay, now that the announcement is done, let's get started. So what I did is I chose the runway that we're going to fly and also the SID that we're going to fly. So today we're going to be flying Tiger 2, I believe. Yes, we are flying Tiger 2. And for transition, we are going to choose Tiger as our transitioning point, if I can find it. Okay, it seems like it's missing over here. Well, I guess we'll just not choose anything. We'll just simply gonna insert our without having a transition point. And right now I can see on my FMC that we do have that Tiger transition point, so we should be good here. Let's check for any discontinuity. Yes, we do have here, which is right before our approach. So we're gonna first clear it and then we'll choose our expected approach. So we're gonna go on arrival and we are expected for runway 34. We'll choose the ILS runway 34 and we are flying the Hokusan, I believe. Let me confirm one more time. Yes, we are flying this star today and with the transition point, well, there are no transition point or bias, so we'll insert that. Everything looks good, and let's go through the flight plan one more time and look for any discontinuity if we do have any. And it looks like we do not have any discontinuity, so that's good for the flight plan so far. We'll go back to initialization page on the second page and we're going to put our zero fuel weight, and the next thing is we'll put our block fuel. Let me quickly have a look at it, which is 13.0. So we're going to put our block fuel 13.0 and we'll get some of our data calculated here. I think there's also a good time to start some more stuff. Let's turn on our fuel tanks. Also, we'll start with our APU, so we'll wait 5 seconds. Let's go start. Anything else with the lights do we need? We can turn on our beacon right now, so I'm just going to do that. Okay, let's get back to
doors and cross check.
We'll close our door here so we don't have extra noise in there. Okay, now that that is done, we'll head back to our flight computer and we'll go to our last page, which is performance page. So we are using 1 flaps and flex temperature. We don't need that. We have our transitioning altitude, which is 14,000 feet, and now we are going to get our V speeds. So for our V2 we are going to add 10 knots to it, so 145, and we have our flight computer ready. One more thing that I like to do is I like to go to my progress page and I would get, based on the star that I'm flying, I would put my initial altitude where I need to be for the star if there is any altitude restrictions, and for that we can actually use our flypad. So we are flying RJFF, and for star we are flying Hawks north and south. Should be this one. So it seems like we kinda, do we have any? Let's check our approach plate for the runway. That might give us a better idea. Okay, so it seems like we have to be at 4,000 feet when we reach to Hawks waypoint. So we'll quickly confirm that we have that in our flight plan. So let's go here. Yes, we do. So 4,000. So this is going to be the waypoint where we have to be, and we are gonna plan our descent based on this restriction. So we'll go here and okay, now that we have that, it's 255 nautical miles away. We are good with the flight computer. Now the next stage is we will simply close our all the doors. Baggage is done, catering is done, we should be good. We'll head back up here. By now our APU is on, so we will turn our APU bleed and external power can go off. Now that we have everything ready, we should be able to request for pushback and engine start. Before we do that, let us plan our pushback. Okay, let's see, we are using 3 to right runway for our 3 to left actually. Okay, so what we need to do is based on what we're gonna get, I can assume, but we are going to face to our right, so by the time we get here, this should be good. Okay, this should be good. So we have it planned, and once we are ready we can start our pushback, but before that we will ask for pushback and engine start clearance. Zulu Alpha 907 ready for pushback and engine start.
Zulu Alpha 907 pushback and engine start approved.
Pushback and engine start approved. Zulu Alpha 907.
Okay, we are approved for pushback and engine start, so let's go ahead and request pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by. Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Okay, so once we started that, our engine 2 is gonna go on first. And while we're doing that, we will ask for our taxi clearance. Zulu Alpha 907 ready to taxi runway 32 left.
Zulu Alpha 9 7 taxi to runway 32 left via taxiways Echo 2, Alpha 1, Charlie 1, Whiskey 4, Bravo 3, Bravo 2, Bravo 1, Whiskey 1, hold short runway 32 right, and runway 32 left.
Taxi to runway 32 left via taxiways Echo 2, Alpha 1, Charlie 1, Whiskey 4, Bravo 3, Bravo 2, Bravo 1, Whiskey 1, hold short runway 32 right, and runway 32 left Zulu Alpha 907.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Seems like I did not push it back
Ground.
enough.
You
That
may
was my bad,
disconnect.
but we can work
Okay,
with
sir.
this.
Cleared to disconnect. Pin has been removed. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Well, once we have our second engine, we will start, but before that, let's set our parking brake to max. We'll go up for all lights, and taxi light comes on. What other lights do we need? Everything looks good. Strobe will come to auto. Cabin check. Anything else that we have to do? Yes, we will set our predictive wind shear alert system to auto, and our radar will go 1. We have this one on auto, and we'll turn on our TCAS system once we are ready for takeoff. Everything else looks good, and we have both the engines on, so our engine starter goes to off, our APU bleed comes off, and APU master switch goes off as well, and we are ready to taxi. Is there anything else? Yes, spoilers and our flaps 1 is set, so we are ready to taxi. Let's get started. The one problem with Microsoft Flight Simulator is these random cars just trying to block our way, so we are not going to care about this one.
Zulu Alpha 9 7 clear to cross runway 32 right.
Cleared to cross runway 32 right Zulu Alpha 907.
We will make sure our toga configuration is set and has no problems, so that is good as well. We're going just a little bit too fast, pushing those brakes, and we will take a left turn on that taxiway to get to our runway, which is 32 left. Once we get to our hold short position, we will be receiving instruction from ATC for tower frequency, and once we have that, we can get our takeoff clearance.
Zulu Alpha 9er 7 contact tower on 118.1. Have a nice flight.
Tower on 118.1 Zulu Alpha 9er 7.
Before we get to the runway, let's just do some housekeeping stuff, and we should be ready to ask for takeoff clearance. So before anything, let's turn our landing lights on. Our nose light is gonna go takeoff position, and the runway light, we can just set it to on for now. We'll do one more cabin check.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Okay, and the next few systems, we have our flaps, we have our spoilers, auto brakes are set, cabin is ready, all the seatbelt signs are on, so we should be cleared for takeoff. Just before I do that, we will put our TCAS system on TARA and for all. Okay, everything looks good here. We will put our engine starter switch on ignition start mode, because that is required for all critical phases of a flight, and takeoff is one of them. So without further ado, let's get our takeoff clearance. Zulu Alpha 97 ready for takeoff, runway 32 left.
Aircraft calling tower, say again with your call sign.
Zulu Alpha 97 ready for takeoff, runway 32 left.
Zulu Alpha 9er 7 winds are light and variable, altimeter 29er 9er 7 cleared for takeoff, runway 32 left, squawk 4516.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 32 left, squawking 4516 Zulu Alpha 9er 7.
So we are cleared for takeoff. We're gonna simply line up with the runway and we will start our takeoff sequence. Okay, this seems good. So manual brakes on. We are gonna put our N1 to about 50%, and there you go. Stick pressure is forward, and we are on toga. We'll wait for 80 knots and then we'll start releasing pressure on the side stick. Just trying to maintain the central line, which I'm pretty sure I'm not. V1 and rotate, let's go. Landing gear comes up. In just a bit we will retract our flaps. Flaps retracted and spoilers disarmed.
Zulu Alpha 9er 7 contact Kansai departure on 119.5. Have a good morning.
Our autopilot goes on and we should be good for the flight going forward.
Departure Zulu Alpha 9er 7 climbing to 12,000 feet.
Zulu Alpha 9er 7 good morning. Radar contact.
Let's quickly set some of our lights. So our nose light is going to go off. Runway light as well, everything looks good, and landing lights are going to be on until we reach 10,000 feet. Let's have a look at Japan. flight should be pretty uneventful, at least hoping for that, and yeah, hoping to have a good flight.
Zulu Alpha 9er7 climb and maintain flight level 180.
Climb and maintain flight level 180 Zulu Alpha 9er7.
And as we are crossing 14,000 feet, which was our transition altitude, we can put our altitude to standard and nothing else. And also, I forgot, let's retract our landing lights. Everything else is good, and we can also let the passengers walk around for a little bit. This one looks good as well. Okay, we are good for now.
Zulu Alpha 9er7 climb and maintain flight level 240.
Climb and maintain flight level 240 Zulu Alpha 9er7.
Zulu Alpha 9er7 contact Tokyo Center on 124.905. Have a nice day.
Center on 124.905. Take care Zulu Alpha 9er7. Center Zulu Alpha 9er7 climbing to flight level 240.
Zulu Alpha 9er7, good morning. Radar contact.
Actually, right now I just forgot one thing. Looking at the star chart, we do have a lot of restrictions. So we do have a restriction of 12,000 feet at Ibisu, and then at Lager we have 6,000 feet. We have a lot other restrictions as well,
Zulu
and
Alpha
finally to
9 or
Hawks
7 climb and maintain
for
flight level
4,000.
280.
Climb and maintain flight level 280 Zulu Alpha 907.
We are cleared for our cruising altitude here. Everything looking good so far in the flight. Checking all the panels. Oh, our engine starter switch. That goes to normal. Everything else is looking perfect. And we're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again for the flight deck, Captain speaking. We've just reached our cruising altitude for the flight. As it begins to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your feet and elbows clear from the aisle as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley counts shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating near the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
The cruising phase is one of the easiest phases of the flight. You just have to just monitor your aircraft and nothing more really. And if you have a good ATC add-on and you have a co-pilot setup, then you don't even have to respond to the ATC calls. All you have to make sure is the autopilot is on, all the numbers are good, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But when we get closer to the airport, like which is right now, we are going to enter our destination data. So we'll go to performance page, next phase, and right here we are going to input all the numbers, QNH, temperature, wind, and minimums for our approach. So to start with, we are gonna go back to our flypad and we'll go to the dashboard, and right here we have all the numbers for our arrival airport. So the QNH is gonna be 29.907. Let's put that first. Next, let's check the temperature is going to be 15 degrees Celsius, and wind is 170 at 5 knots. So 15 temperature and 170 at, was it 5 knots? Yep, it is 5 knots. 170 at 05. For the minimums, we will have to get our chart. So we are gonna go back to our flypad. We will go to our chart, and we gotta put the code to our arrival airport, which is RJFF. We'll go to approach plates and runway 34. So over here you can see right here on ILS section, it is 232 feet. So go back here and 232, and there you go. Now we have all our data in here, our approach speed, our landing speed, and we are good so far. The few changes that I did is I did change our progress page to follow a new waypoint, and we are going to start our initial descent to 12,000 feet, about 70 nautical miles away. And to decide how far you want to start, we are going to use this. So we have headwind, which means we can start even later. We can start about 50 nautical miles away from our waypoint, but for now we'll keep our decision to about 60 nautical miles. And if you have tailwind, you have to start further away from that waypoint, but using the calculator, all the link will be in the description, so if you use that calculator, it will give you a little bit of a head start on when to start your descent. So according to that calculation, we will start about 70 to 60 nautical miles before we get to the waypoint. So I'm going to be keeping a track on this number right here. Right now it is 173.6 nautical miles, and once we fly about 100 more nautical miles, we will start our initial descent to 12,000 feet.
Zulu Alpha 9er 7 contact Tokyo Center on 132.5 enjoy.
Center on 132.5 Zulu Alpha 907. Center Zulu Alpha 907 at flight level 280.
Zulu Alpha 9er 7 good morning. Radar contact.
And I'm back with our next phase of flight, which will be our initial descent. Before we get there, it seems like we are facing some turbulences, so we have a lot of headwind and we are about 90 nautical miles away from our waypoint, where we are going to descend down to about 12,000 feet. So let's put that into our autopilot altitude selector. So we have that selected. We are still not going to start our descent, but a lot of headwind here and a lot of turbulence. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to ask our ATC for clearance to that altitude, and hopefully we receive it. And we're going to do this in about 10 nautical miles. So far this flight has been good. There hasn't been any exceptions. There hasn't been any turbulences. Yes, a lot, but there hasn't been anything eventful going on. But my favorite phase, which is the landing and descent, I love that. So and there's a lot to learn when you're doing that. Once again, there will be a link in the description in order to, once the video is posted, then but yeah, in order to have in order to calculate the descent, there will be a link in the description. And if anyone has any question, you guys can leave a comment and I'll go over that specific phase. So most of the videos that I'm going to stream are either going to be bush flights or general aviation flights, where I fly from one airport to the other, and mostly using the FlyByWire A320, and I will be going through the flight as if we are going through a tutorial. And we are about 75 nautical miles away, or 78, yeah, 77.9 nautical miles away, and soon we are going to start our initial descent.
Zulu Alpha 907, expect the Hawkson arrival with the Kirin transition for the ILS approach to runway 34 at Fukuoka. After Stout cleared direct Kirin.
Expect the Hawkson arrival with the Kirin transition for the ILS approach to runway 34 after Stout cleared direct Kirin Zulu Alpha 907.
We got our arrival information from ATC, and right now we are going to ask for a lower altitude. So Zulu Alpha 907, request descent to flight level 12.
Zulu Alpha 907 negative. Your requested altitude is below the minimum for your route. Descend and maintain flight level 240.
Descend and maintain flight level 240 Zulu Alpha 907.
Well, I think I read that wrong. I said that wrong. So let's try one more time. Zulu Alpha 907, request descent to flight level 120.
Aircraft calling center, say again with your call sign.
Zulu Alpha 907, request descent to flight level 120.
Zulu Alpha 907 negative. Your requested altitude is below the minimum for your route. Maintain flight level 240.
Seems like we'll have to go to 240 first, and then we start our descent further down.
Zulu Alpha 907, descend and maintain flight level 240.
Descend and maintain flight level 240 Zulu Alpha 907.
So initially we are going to start an open descent, nothing really managed. It will just straight up descend to 240 with any restrictions that we provided, but for now the speed is managed, so we should be good. Once you reach to 240, then we are going to try one more time to get to flight level 120.
We have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated until the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
This is a very turbulent flight. Wow. it is very important to manage your descent and calculate and have the calculations correct in order to have a good landing, because when I first started, the one problem that I had was I did not know how to really plan a descent and to execute it. So finally, after some going over some videos on YouTube, I finally learned how to do that. And you basically have to use some tools, or there is one in the FlyPad as well, but I like to use the website, and yes, the link will be in the description once this video is posted, or once the stream ends. But I always do use that specific tool to calculate my descent rate, or how far we should start our descent. So we are at flight level 240. In a bit we will try to request for flight level 120. Zulu Alpha 97, request descent to flight level 120.
Zulu Alpha 97, descend and maintain 2000 feet, altimeter 29907.
Descend and maintain 2000 feet, altimeter 2997, Zulu Alpha 97.
And there you go, we got cleared for flight level 120. And so we started that, and we have to keep in mind a few things, which is one, we have to make sure our altitude will go to 29907 as we were told by the ATC from standard. And also in terms of lights, we don't really have to do much other than, I'm just gonna turn on the seatbelt sign, and once we get to about 10,000 feet we will turn on our landing lights as well. And so far everything looks good, nothing else to do right now. It's very turbulent, we have very high headwind, and that is the reason why we have so much turbulence. We are about let's check how far we are. Okay, so we're about 43 nautical miles away, and it is not a restriction that we have to it is not really a restriction if you think about it. So if we don't get to 2,000 feet, it's still fine, because the lowest we can get to is 12,000 feet, my bad. So the lowest we could go is 12,000 feet. So in either case we are still gonna be above our restriction, but as we go further down, that is when we will have to follow some of the restrictions. For the Lager, we do not have to go to 6,000 feet, but from there we have to get to at least to 5,000 feet. Now this is where I would follow, I would tell myself that I am going to be at 5,000 feet once we hit Bangkok, and our max speed can be 210 knots. So this is something we'll have to keep in mind, because right after that is where we're going to intercept our ILS. And yeah, so before we do that, we need to make sure that we are at the right altitude and at the right speed. So once we hit Lager waypoint, we are going to try to go down from whatever altitude that we decide to go. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from 12,000 feet to 8,000 feet by the time, or 7,000 feet by the time we hit Lager, and then from there we can descend to 5,000 feet. And once we get to 5,000 feet on Bangkok, we will descend down to 4,000 and we'll intercept the ILS. A lot of things to do. We are currently at 18,500 feet, descending down to 12,000 feet. This would also be a good time to check our RadNav page to make sure that our frequency is set for our ILS approach. And let me just check the ILS plate. And yes, it should be IFF, so we do have that set over here, and it is 108.90. So we have that correct. We'll go back to our progress page and we'll keep a track of our altitude. We are at 16,200 feet right now, descending down to 12,000 feet. So we are below 14,000 feet, which means we are going to set our QNH, and it was 29907. We have that, and we will reach 12,000 well before we get to our waypoint.
Zulu Alpha 907 descend via the Hawkson arrival with the Kirin transition to 4,000 feet altimeter 29907 at Fukuoka.
Descend via the Hawkson arrival with the Kirin transition to 4,000 feet altimeter 29907 Zulu Alpha 907.
Okay, so we received that. We're gonna descend via Hawks South, I believe, or Hawkson arrival, and we are going to descend. Our final descent altitude is gonna be 4,000 feet, and that is our transition point from the start to hitting the localizer. So far we are following the constraints and it is going pretty good. Let's look at our flight plan one more time, and we will transfer to flight plan page right now.
Zulu Alpha 907 contact Kobe Control on 134.25. Have a good morning.
Approach on 134.25 Zulu Alpha 907. Approach Zulu Alpha 907 at 12,000 feet.
Zulu Alpha 907, good morning. Radar contact. Continue descent via the Hawkson arrival. For the ILS approach to runway 34 at Fukuoka.
Okay, we don't really need to ask ATC anymore, so we are going to descend to 7,000 feet here. I think we busted that. I thought we already crossed Ibisu, but never mind. We busted that altitude restriction, but I guess ATC is cool with that. As long as they're cool, we're cool. So we are descending down to 7,000 feet. We hit our 10,000 feet altitude, so our landing lights will come on. Everything else looks good, and we'll follow our descent from here. Our plane is just trying to lose some speed before we continue our descent. we are back on descending down to 7,000 feet, and let's get back to our flight plan. So right now we're heading for Lagar, and after that we will straight up descend to 5,000 feet while we get to Bangkok, and from there we'll descend down to 4,000 feet for Hawks, and then we can simply intercept the ILS and we should be good until we reach about 5 to 300 feet when we take over the control. Let us just turn on our landing system from here a little bit early, so once we intercept the ILS we will know that. It is very early to do that, but I just like to do it beforehand. So one more restriction that we have to follow is by the time we get to Bangkok we have to be max 210 knots. So this is something we'll have to take in consideration when we're descending down this. We might start descending down to 5,000 feet the moment we hit Lagar, so we have more than enough time to shake off that speed. Okay, so this is where we descend down to 5,000 feet, and we are going to do it just a tad bit early so that we can lose the speed by the time we get to our waypoint, which is Bangkok, because we have to be at max 210 knots. So we will hopefully descend down to 5,000 feet by the time we hit softer, so we have enough time to lose that speed. Landing is all about timing your descent and knowing when to use speed. It seems like we have a lot of mountains up ahead. Hopefully we don't have to fly close to the mountains. I hate doing that. We're descending pretty quick, So we should get there. We're descending at about 1500 feet per minute. It seems like we are going to get to Biima at 5000. We already are at 5000 feet, so we have more than enough time to lose that speed, that excess speed. So we are going to go to managed, not managed, but I forgot what you call that, but we will just input the speed by ourselves. Our airport is gonna be at about 10 o'clock right now. Our altimeter is set, just making sure everything is set. And right now we are going to put our speed where we can go to about 230 knots. We are already at 5000 feet. The airport should be on our left, somewhere here. Yeah. Let me just make sure we have all the lights set. We do have our landing lights on, beacon light is on, strobe on auto. We don't need wing light. We have our nav lights on. Everything else is looking good up here. And I think we don't have much to set anywhere else. We'll hit the localizer button once we get closer. Everything is looking good in this panel. We will put our engines to start mode once we are close to landing, because we have to turn that to ignition mode whenever we are in a critical phase of the flight, and landing is one of them. And also I like to start my APU by the time we hit localizer, so that once we are on ground and if there is no external power available, we can have something for our power source. Once we hit our waypoint of Softo, we are going to input our speed to 210 knots so that we can intercept the ILS in an easier way, or in the right way actually, because we have to follow that we do have to follow that rule. We have not been contacted by ATC so far. I think they will contact us soon, getting us more information. Okay, so it seems like we did intercept the ILS, but it is unusable right now. We are perpendicular to the runway, so once we are close to intercept it, we will use our localizer button, and that should help us. So from Banku to Hawks right here, we have to lose about 1000 feet. I'm not sure how that's gonna happen, but we should be good. Yeah, let's check the altitude restriction for Harry, which is also 4000. Yeah, so we will have some time to lose that speed, that altitude. A lot of headwind, I believe. Just to confirm, no, that's a lot of tailwind. Wow. But by the time we are facing the runway, it will be headwind. So in any case, we will be doing a bit of a tough landing here because of the wind. Hopefully nothing goes bad. I should be able to handle that. Okay, very soon we are going to descend to 2010, so I'm going to put it to 220 knots right now. And once we hit Bangkok, we will also put our flaps to 1, and also we'll put our speed brakes to manual. I mean medium. We'll be crossing a mountain close. A lot of tailwind. We might have a crosswind landing because we are getting hit in a crossway from tail by the wind, so we might have a crosswind landing here.
2,500.
Let's drop down to 210 knots by the time we hit the waypoint Bangkok. And we can let our flight crew know that we are about to land, or we will land shortly. So I think this is where I will put it to 4,000 feet. Once we cross that waypoint, which is we're about to do. And I would say about right now. So we can go down. Okay, we are heading down to 4,000 feet, and this is also where
Zulu Alpha 9er turn left heading 09er vectors to the ILS approach for runway 34 at Fukuoka.
Heading 09er vectors to the ILS approach for runway 34 Zulu Alpha 9er.
We are going to ignore those instructions because in the ATC map I can see that it is very bad. They're making us too many sharp turns where we don't need to, so we are going to ignore those. We're gonna let our aircraft do it for us. Let's descend to about 195 knots here, and we will put our flaps to 1 pretty shortly.
Zulu Alpha 9er turn right heading 09er.
Yes,
Heading
not going to follow that.
097 Zulu Alpha 9er.
And our first flaps comes down, and we will go to about 185 knots. Let's set our auto brakes to medium. We might just go upstairs and turn on our APU at this point. And nose light to takeoff position. We can hit the localizer button right now. Oh, that will help us capture the localizer.
Zulu Alpha 9er expedite your turn right heading 09er.
Heading 097 Zulu Alpha 9er.
And right now we'll put our flaps to 2. We will slow down a bit more to about 160, and also our approach mode comes on here. Landing gear goes down. And third flaps comes down.
Zulu
So
Alpha
we are at
907,
glide
turn
stop
right
right
heading
now.
122.
Heading 122 Zulu Alpha 97.
Sorry about the ATC going nuts there. Did not want to follow their tricky path they were giving me. But yes, we are on our
Zulu
final
Alpha
descent.
907, turn right heading 127.
Heading 127 Zulu Alpha 97.
I will arm our spoilers. Let's head upstairs one more time, letting the cabin crew know. Everything else looks good here. A PU is available once we get on the ground. A clear day, so the landing should be good. A little bit of headwind, never mind, the wind has got down significantly. That helps us a lot. We pretty much have everything done for our landing checklist. We are descending down. We are at 2,900 feet right now.
$2,500.
Just managing the speed a little bit more, 150 knots. And soon we are gonna have our full flaps. I can see the runway in the distance. Also, our engine mode goes to ignition and start. Full flaps. We'll go to about 145 nautical miles. And soon we're gonna put our speed to manage mode for the landing. This has been a pretty good flight so far. We just have to make sure we do a good landing, that's all.
1,000.
We're about 1,000 feet, and this is where we are going to go to our managed speed mode. Our aircraft is going to do the rest for us. We have parking brakes, we have all the lights checked. Speed brakes, we have spoilers armed. And so we're gonna start our reverse thrust once we get to our touchdown. A beautiful approach here in Japan. Fukuoka, I guess that's how you pronounce. Fukuoka, yeah, Fukuoka. A very beautiful approach here. We are at about 500 feet, so we are gonna disengage our autopilot, and we're gonna hand fly the remainder of this flight.
400. 100 above. 300. Minimum 200. 100. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
There you go. Reverse thrust comes on. That was not a bad landing. We were just not lined up properly, but I think apart from that, that was a good touchdown. So there, we're gonna, once we hit 4 nautical miles, yes, reverse thrust is back. Brakes manual, and we should take a turn on this taxiway. That was not a bad landing at all, in my opinion. And we're gonna take a turn right here. The ATC glitched out, but I think rest was okay. I guess we'll have to manually check in with our ground control in order to get taxi to gate. So we're going to stop right here. We're gonna turn on our brake fan, and we'll check the frequency back to ground.
Zulu Alpha 907 request taxi to the gate.
Zulu Alpha 907 taxi to gate 13 via taxiways Alpha 4, Alpha 3, Alpha 2.
Taxi to gate 13 via taxiways Alpha 4, Alpha 3, Alpha 2, Zulu Alpha 907.
Before we do that, we are going to do some stuff. Our TCAS will be back to well, standby here, and our engine starter goes to normal mode. Wind shear, predictive wind shear, and everything should be good for now. Okay, let's get to our gate. So that will also track our landing lights just in a bit. I didn't know my parking brake was on there, my bad. But we should taxi to the gate right now. There's gate 13. I think there is an aircraft there already, but we'll see how that goes. So now let's turn off the lights, so this can go to taxi light. Landing lights retracted. Okay, that's good enough for now. Come on, look at the car just waiting for us to get there before it makes its move. Microsoft Flight Simulator, please fix this. This is mad annoying. Are we even gonna have a gate? Because ATC told us to go to gate 13, but I guess there is already some people there. But once we get to our gate, we will shut down this aircraft and we should be good with this stream. Thank you for everyone who was watching it, and thank you to everyone who will watch this when I post it as a video. I think gate 13 is not available, but the gate next to it seems like to be available, so we are just going to go there. This is something to keep in mind when flying using Pilot to ATC. sometimes the traffic instructions, the gate instruction, taxi instructions might not work out as you would like. But we're gonna follow that taxi marking. Is it the next one? I can't even tell. Oh yeah, it's right here, yeah. Boop, 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 boop. And we are almost there. And there you go. Parking brakes comes on. Yeah, not bad. We might have to move just a tad bit more. So we're gonna move just a tad bit more. And right here seems good. Maybe a little bit more. To the left. And this should be good. Parking brake comes on. A little bit of help from the camera views. But yeah, this is it. We got to our destination airport. First thing we're gonna do is our engines are gonna come off. We will also put our light. Okay, this Microsoft annoying notification. Everything else look good. Our beacon light can finally come off as the engines are off, and we should let our passengers get out as well. So we'll just open the door, baggage, catering, and slowly we are going to turn off our aircraft. We have ground power available, we can turn that on. This goes off. Our nav system will go off. Oxygen crew supply doesn't need right now. Seat belts will come off. No smoking sign off, and emergency exit lights are gonna stay turned on. We can simply turn off all our fuel pumps, and finally we're gonna turn off our batteries. And for cold and dark, external power goes off. So there it is, a flight from where did we start? I already forgot. We started from Osaka to Fukuoka, and we flew the FlyByWire Airbus A320. This was a fun flight, and I'll post with all the description links and everything once we are done. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you'll be for the next one too.